Did you know that Guy Ritchie's latest film, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, earned only $16 million worldwide against a $60 million budget, making it one of the biggest box office disasters of 2024? The same director who gave us Snatch and Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels somehow managed to turn a thrilling story about Winston Churchill's secret commandos into what critics called disappointingly okay, perhaps the most damning review of a Guy Ritchie film ever. Armed with Henry Cavill at his most Bond-like, a $60 million budget, and one of World War II's most fascinating untold stories, this should have been the action masterpiece that revitalized both Ritchie's career and Cavill's post-Superman prospects. Instead, we got a film that somehow made real-life heroes boring, turned genuine wartime tension into video game violence, and proved that even the most explosive true stories can fall flat when filtered through the wrong creative lens. The movie bombed so hard that it performed worse than Cavill's earlier 2024 flop Argylle, cementing a troubling pattern for the actor who was once destined to be the next James Bond. So what went so catastrophically wrong with a film that had every advantage, star power, source material, and a director known for stylish action? Today we're going behind enemy lines to examine how The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare became a textbook case of squandered potential and missed opportunities. Reason number 1. Historical accuracy versus Hollywood spectacle. The most fundamental problem with the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare lies in its complete misunderstanding of what made Operation Postmaster fascinating in the first place. The real mission was a masterclass in stealth, intelligence, and psychological warfare. No shots were fired during the actual operation. Instead, British operatives used cunning, deception, and carefully orchestrated parties to distract German forces while they quietly stole 3 ships from the Fernando Po harbor. Ritchie's version transforms this sophisticated espionage thriller into a mindless shooter where Henry Cavill's team mows down dozens of Nazis with automatic weapons. The film shows elaborate firefights, explosive action sequences, and a body count that would make John Rambo blush. While this might seem more exciting on paper, it completely destroys the tension and intelligence that made the real story actually compelling. The genius of Operation Postmaster was that it proved brains could triumph over brawn. Churchill's ungentlemanly warriors succeeded not through superior firepower, but through superior planning and execution. By turning this into a conventional action movie, Ritchie stripped away everything that made the source material unique. Audiences left theaters thinking they'd watched another generic World War II shoot-'em-up, rather than learning about one of the war's most ingenious covert operations. Reason number 2. Tonedeafness versus emotional intelligence. One of the most jarring aspects of the film is its inability to find a consistent tone. Ritchie attempts to blend his signature irreverent humor with the serious subject matter that is World War II, but the result feels tone-deaf and occasionally even offensive. Characters crack jokes while committing mass murder, treating the slaughter of human beings, even Nazi soldiers, as entertainment rather than the grim reality of war. This isn't a Tarantino movie. The real Operation Postmaster succeeded precisely because the operatives understood the gravity of their situation. They were operating in neutral territory, risking international incidents that could have drawn Spain into the war on Germany's side. Every decision carried enormous consequences, creating natural tension that no amount of CGI explosions was going to match. Ritchie's film treats this tension as an inconvenience to be quickly dispatched with quips and gunfire. When characters should be showing the stress and uncertainty of their impossible mission, they instead deliver one-liners that would make a Marvel superhero cringe. The film never allows audiences to feel the weight of what these men risked, reducing genuine heroes to cartoon characters. This tonal confusion extends to the film's treatment of violence, where Inglourious Basterds used over-the-top Nazi killing as a deliberate commentary on revenge fantasies, Ungentlemanly Warfare presents mass murder as a consequence-free entertainment. The difference between thoughtful provocation and mindless spectacle becomes painfully obvious. Reason number 3. Character development versus action figure collection. Despite having a talented cast, including Henry Cavill, Alan Ritchson, and Eiza Gonzalez, the film reduces its characters to barely distinguishable action figures. Cavill's Gus March-Phillipps is introduced as a prototype James Bond, but beyond his charm and facial hair, there's nothing particularly interesting about him. He's competent, confident, and invincible. Traits that make for really boring protagonists. The real Gus March-Phillipps was a complex figure who wrote spy novels and possessed genuine intellectual depth alongside his military skills. The film version is all surface-level charm with no inner life. We learn nothing about what motivates him beyond duty, what he fears, or how the war has affected him personally. He's less a character than a collection of spy movie tropes. The supporting team fares even worse. Alan Ritchie's Anders Lassen is reduced to a muscle-bound killing machine, whose only personality trait is being really good at archery. The real Lassen was described as a slight man whose genius lay in tactics and strategy, not brute force. By turning him into a conventional action hero, the film loses what made him genuinely remarkable. Even worse, the characters have no meaningful relationships with each other. They're thrown together for the mission, but never develop the bonds that would make the audience care about their survival. Reason number 4. Missed opportunities for real tension. The most frustrating aspect of watching Ungentlemanly Warfare is seeing all the genuine dramatic opportunities that Ritchie ignores in favor of mindless action. The real Operation Postmaster was inherently suspenseful because everything had to go perfectly or risk catastrophic diplomatic consequences. Fernando Po was neutral territory. Any obvious British military action could have pushed Spain into the Axis. This creates natural tension that no special effects budget can replicate. Every moment the operatives spent on the island was a calculated risk. One mistake, one suspicious German officer, played probably by Christoph Waltz, one poorly timed decision could have unraveled not just the mission, but Britain's entire strategy in the Atlantic. The film mentions this danger in passing, but never explores the implications. Instead of building suspense around the careful orchestration required for the mission's success, Ritchie focuses on elaborate fight choreography that looks impressive, but feels weightless. When your protagonists can effortlessly slaughter dozens of trained soldiers without breaking a sweat, where's the tension? When characters have plot armor thick enough to stop anti-aircraft shells, why should audiences worry about their safety? Reason number 5. Pacing problems versus narrative flow. For all his strengths as a filmmaker, Guy Ritchie seems to have forgotten the art of pacing in Ungentlemanly Warfare. The film suffers from an uneven structure that wastes time on inconsequential scenes while rushing through important plot developments. Characters spend endless minutes traveling to their destination without meaningful dialogue or character development, yet the actual mission feels rushed and chaotic. The parallel storylines between the ship-based team and the island operatives never effectively connect. Eiza Gonzalez and Babs Olusanmokun did solid work as the undercover agents, but their scenes feel disconnected from the main action. Rather than building toward a coordinated climax where both storylines pay off, the film treats them as separate movies, awkwardly edited together. This structural problem is compounded by Ritchie's typically kinetic editing style, which works well for crime capers, but feels really wrong for a wartime thriller. The constant cutting and stylistic flourishes distance audiences from the action rather than immersing them in it. Where Snatch benefited from its frenetic pace, Ungentlemanly Warfare needed moments of quiet tension to make the action sequences meaningful. The film also suffers from the prequel problem. Since audiences know from history that the mission ultimately succeeded, the movie needs to find other sources of tension. Unfortunately, Ritchie never identifies what those might be, leaving viewers to watch foregone conclusions play out without investment in the outcome. Reason number 6. Wasted potential of the source material. Perhaps the most tragic aspect of Ungentlemanly Warfare is how much fascinating material from Damian Lewis's book Churchill's Secret Warriors gets ignored or simplified. The real story of Britain's Special Operations Executive is filled with colorful characters, ingenious tactics, and moral complexities that would have made for compelling cinema. The film reduces Winston Churchill to a cartoon version played by an actor who looks nothing like the Prime Minister. The real Churchill's decision to authorize Operation Postmaster was controversial within his own government, creating internal conflict that could have added some political intrigue to the story. Instead, we get a few scenes of Churchill looking stern and authorizing violence. The movie also wastes the Ian Fleming connection. While it's true that Fleming worked with the SOE and drew inspiration from real operatives for James Bond, the film treats this as mere trivia, rather than exploring what it meant for someone to witness these events and later transform them into popular fiction. There's a fascinating story about how reality becomes the myth, and the film completely ignores that. Reason number 7. Box office reality versus audience expectations. The financial failure of Ungentlemanly Warfare reflects deeper problems than just poor marketing or bad timing. The film earned only $16 million worldwide against a $60 million budget, making it one of 2024's biggest flops. This disaster points to a fundamental disconnect between what Ritchie thought audiences wanted and what they actually craved. Modern audiences are sophisticated enough to appreciate complex war stories that don't rely on cartoon violence. By dumbing down Operation Postmaster into a generic action movie, Ritchie alienated both history buffs who wanted accuracy and action fans who've seen the same formula countless times. The film's poor performance also highlights Henry Cavill's struggle to find his post-Superman, post-Geralt of Rivia identity. Following the equally disappointing Argyle, Ungentlemanly Warfare suggests that Cavill's charm alone isn't enough to carry weak material. His potential James Bond candidacy has likely suffered as studios question his ability to actually open movies. But hey, that's just our opinion. What do you think? Could a different director have done justice to Operation Postmaster? And if so, who? Or was the story always doomed to be Hollywoodified beyond recognition? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into Hollywood's most spectacular misfires. This video is made by movie fans, for movie fans.